Welcome back. It's the bonus episode of episode 7. Wrestler Weekly presents 1982 part 1 bonus episode time. And, this is where we left off. We had a couple mags, and this is the first. I'm still getting that glare from the show. There, we're right in there. Okay, so this is Ric Flair's first of many world championships. And so, Flair signed 16 times on here. Some people say 19, some people say 21, but this was the first, and it happened September 17, 1981. And so this was the first opportunity for Bill Apter. And let me just give a great shout out to Bill. Without Bill's work, that's a childhood lost right there. But he made it happen in the MAGS for us. We didn't have cable, we didn't have internet back then. I mean, this was how we got our information. And so it happened in Kansas City, Missouri. Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, was the world champion. Remember, he defeated Harley Race. And so here it was, Nature Boy. And in that match, he comes to the ring. He's got the blue robe, the famous blue robe. Jim Crockett is in the ring. Special referee was Lou Thez. I mean, this was the who's who coming out for Ric Flair in his inauguration of the World Heavyweight title, the NWA 10 pounds of gold. And in the match, Flair obviously was working the leg and trying to weaken Dusty, and here's the match, and both these mags signed, but and this was the actual match, the photos from that match in Kansas City. But new NWA champ Ric Flair, which way will he take the title? What we talked about historic in the last episode with Bob Backlund and his 4-year reign at the time, but how historic was this? I mean, this takes you back, but this was the match, and he was working the leg, and so he's got Dusty is working Flair right now. He throws him in a corner. Dusty runs, is going to dig a high knee lift. Flair moves out of the way, and bam, right into the turnbuckle, right into the corner there. And so Flair works on the knee, puts him in the figure 4, and he really goes to town with that figure 4 and really working him over. And Dusty is trying his best to get out of it or roll it over. The crowd's into it, and so Dusty gets close to the ropes. He rolls it over, and when he rolls it over, his head is under the rope, under that bottom rope. So Lou Thez has got to break it up, and so he breaks it up. And so they continue the match, and so Flair goes on the outside and he climbs the ropes, which is always a mistake, knowing Flair and knowing his matches, and so here's Flair on the top, and Dusty comes up and takes him off. I mean, Dusty's got him in a suplex. He pulls him up, picks him up into a high suplex, as Gordon Soley used to say, but the knee gives out. All the work on the knee. Here comes the storytelling, and here comes the psychology of really what's missing in today's wrestling. And so what happens? Dusty falls on that knee. Flair seizes the moment, rolls him up, hooks the leg. Lou Thez down, 1, 2, 3. And we have a new world champion, and it's Nature Boy Ric Flair. And so from a MAG standpoint, inside wrestling, this was the very first inside wrestling, January of 82, but this is the first one with Ric Flair with the 3 champions. Bob Backlund, Nick Bockwinkel, and now replacing the legend Harley Race, is Ric Flair. And so to see him there, just incredible. The first time, incredible piece of history. There's the back cover, which you know we love. And so here's the Flair mag that I always wanted to get signed. But if you were to have to say, well, what's kind of the second one that you would always want to get signed? Well, you know, there's also that other Flair with the red U.S. title. But to have this mag, and that's one we spotlighted earlier, as you remember, but to have this mag, this one, I mean, this was, I mean, it's PWI, so they're off the bat, you know, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, kind of the marquee mag, but there's the 10 pounds of gold. This is was some of the matches that Flair had with Harley Race, where Harley's trying to regain the title. I mean, Flair held this title for, I believe, 361 days. Somebody can check the stats on that, but I want to say it was a little over a year that he held the title, and you know, before Harley defeated him, as you know, in 1983 in June, and then that set up the big Starrcade later in the year. But this was the first, and you know, when you talk about the first, you talk about this mag, you talk about all those things. It sets up for just great pieces of history. Signed by Ric Flair, privileged to have him, as you know. And so I'm going to do a couple things. There's two things I'm going to do. I'm going to post a link to the match where he defeated Dusty Rhodes. I'm also going to put a link out there where it's one of the first promos that Ric Flair ever gave after winning the world title. It was in Georgia Championship Wrestling. Gordon Soley interviewed him, and he cut a tremendous promo, first time with the title. And you could almost sense, you know, being a kid that grew up in Mid-Atlantic and seeing Flair doing promos when he was the U.S. champ, this was a little different, because you could almost sense at the beginning of the promo, it was like this weight was he sensed the tremendous responsibility that he now had to be able to travel the world, to travel through the territories, to make the local guy the star. And now he was now Harley Race. And so it was just the passing of the torch from Race to Dusty over to Ric Flair. And so I hope you've enjoyed this bonus episode. You can follow us on our social media accounts, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Wrestler Weekly. Go to WrestlerWeekly.com, continue to check out our stuff there, and sign up for VIP. A lot more stuff that we could be doing, and we would love to do that for you. Got a lot of giveaways happening, autographed memorabilia, as well as action figures. So check us out, and thanks again for subscribing, and thanks again for following.